Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this video I have for you Gonzo versus Vitch, also known as Lolly, in round 3 of the first Steel Division 2 championship. Today they are playing on Tsel, and on the Soviet side we have Gonzo using the 2nd Armoured French with the Vanguard deployment type. And on the Axis side we have Vitch using Korück 559 and the Vanguard deployment type. Now there isn't going to be any advantage found in the deployment type or income throughout this game, so we'd be better off focusing on those divisions, the 2nd French and Korück 559, both of which I don't think I've covered yet in this tournament. Now the 2nd French known for being quite aggressive due to their use of M8s, which are very fast armoured cars, with a decent amount of firepower for their cost. You can get the standard variant which costs 30 points and the recon variant that costs 40 points. Both very good aggressive vehicles in the early game. On the side of Korück 559, they kind of rely on their cheap infantry and ability to bring a lot of it, especially early on with a Vanguard deployment type. So let's have a look at what they are putting down. Also, just a note that this map does definitely favour infantry gameplay due to all of the trees. So for Gonzo, at the bottom side here, he has 2 voltages in the M5 half tracks. These are the 30 cal half tracks, and then he has a 50 cal in front of that. 57mm AT gun with the M3A1 Stuart, the Spy, which has decent gun and 2 machine guns for pinning infantry quite well. 2 flamethrower squads. Further up we have 2 voltages there and a 57mm AT gun. Then we see 2 more voltages in half tracks, M4A2 German. Then we have 2 M8s at the very top here with a bunch of infantry. That's going to be 4 units of voltages, 3 units of sappers. Now sappers are really good because they have the capability to take on both armor and infantry very well. They have the HE grenade for close range engagement and bazooka for long range AT engagement. M3A1 Spy there and the M4 Sherman with the 105mm gun actually at the start for Gonzo. Interesting. A lot of emphasis put on the top, but look at Gonzo's orders there. Very interesting indeed. Over on the side of Vitch, a bit more simple, just a lot of unloaded position orders, whilst Gonzo has to micro all of his half tracks, so that's what all of the extra orders are for. Anyway, let's have a look at what Vitch is using. He's got a Panzerbuchse there. These are the 2-man AT rifle squads. There's going to be 2 Schupo Ronenführer, another Schupo there, and a Pak 36, really cost-efficient AT gun with an SPW 204. Really nice armoured car, actually, especially for dealing with the M8s at the start. T34 on the bottom side as well. Further up, we see loads and loads of infantry. I was saying how cheap it was and how much they can bring in. Well, certainly proving me right here. 2 Flammenwerfers, or 3 Flammenwerfers at the start. 2 more Panzerbuchses there, multiple units of Schupo and a Ronenführer, and we also see the Rona Pioneer further back. It's lagging behind due to the slower transport, but we have an initial engagement on the bottom side. Schupo taking on the voltages, and looks like the 204 took out one of the half tracks. Further up we do see the flamethrowers of Gonzo going to be throwing down their smoke. The flamethrowers of Vitch have unloaded as well, but with the Schupo to support they should be able to take out the flamethrowers at range. We do see a Pak 36 and Pak 40 deployed further back, and 2 Rona Pioneer going to be pushing up onto the hill. 3 sets of Schupo on the top side with a Panzerbuchse and a Pak 36 further back. This Pak 36 can be absolutely vital for taking out the M8 here, as well as these half tracks. But a large amount of forces for Gonzo on the top side, large amount of forces for Vitch on the bottom side. So that's where the disparity is going to lie. 57mm AT gun here already under fire, and the engagement between the voltages and the Schupo is currently, I would say, falling in favour of the Schupo, since the voltages are getting outgunned. They're only taking them on one by one. But with the T34 pulling up to help out, that should definitely give Vitch the advantage there. Also, Vitch finding the kill onto both of the Flamer squads over this flag will allow a little bit of a breakthrough here with the infantry. The only trouble that Vitch is going to have is a lot of his units are infantry, and therefore they are slow, and that means he's not going to be able to take advantage of any ground he makes very quickly. We do see the Ju-87 coming in there, just going to be taking a pick off onto the half track. I'm not sure if it killed anything on the top side. We do see that the M8 and a half track pushed up. Might have got killed by the grenades though. The infantry 60-meter grenades all the squads have, can kill M8s because they are open top. But these Panzerbuchses really, really useful, are going to help clean up these half tracks, and very good use of them so far by Vitch. T-34 coming in here to help the Schupo advance, and the voltages just not being able to do the job just yet. Looks like Gonzo's going to try and rely on this M3A3 spy. Voltages there again getting completely overwhelmed. They don't have the most fantastic mid-range engagement, especially when they are overwhelmed like this. The Schupo can take them on from out of range of their rifles if they spot them, because the voltages don't have a machine gun themselves. So a lot of ground being made here, but the same goes for Gonzo on the top side. P-38 going to come in. That's going to be a lightning there. Now in a dogfight with the ME-109 G6. Not often you see many P-38s. It's got 4 50 cals and a 20mm. Looking to find the kill onto the Ju-87. ME-109 G6 not going to let that happen. Gonzo loses his aircraft and does not trade. But Gonzo has got these sappers into really nice positions here that will be able to cut off the reinforcements coming in from Vitch. But currently Vitch has the advantage, has found this flag and this flag on Gonzo's side. Gonzo currently trying to find this flag and this flag, but these Schupo might be able to stop this flag from being captured, so we will see. Either way, Ju-87, second one coming in. ME-410 also on the field with its 50 kilogram bombs, I believe, going to be trying to pin down the voltages, the M5A1 and the M3A3 Stuart. Really nice job there. Also allows the Schupo to finish those off, and now we see the strafing run coming in there as well to make sure the M3A3 stays pinned down. That might allow the Schupo to run forwards, but he does see the Sapios on the way, so it is unlikely to bring them out of cover just yet. Ju-87D5 is strafing, so great use of the Korück 559 aircraft in the early game, and that's certainly something that the Vanguard does well. Gonzo's going to have to get his Bofors online, and Bofors are incredibly strong AA at the moment, so that might just shut down all of the airplay on the top side, but a little late so far, as these Ju-87s have been doing a reasonable amount of damage. No actual crazy significant kills. The M4 105mm is still alive. The Sherman is now coming up here as well, and there's still a Sherman alive on the bottom side as well. ME-410 though, that's going to arrive with the bombing strike onto the Sapios. Their strafing run comes down onto the other Sapios. That may cause these to find themselves surrounded, actually. If the front line connects here, these two squads will be surrounded for the foreseeable future, especially with the Schupo arriving there. But the previous 3 Schupo squads, it looks like they all got killed, as we do not see a single one surviving there. But Panzerbuchs are going to get taken out by the voltages on the hill. Meanwhile, down here, not too much more going through from Vitch. He has lost his T-34 on the bottom side, and therefore stopped his push here as well. So it looks like Vitch has had his sort of mind occupied by Gonzo's pushes on the top side. But the Pak-40 going to find a nice shot onto the M8 there down the road. Ju-87 going to start coming under fire from quite a decent amount of AA. There's also going to be a GMC Bofors at the start as well. Very large investment into his AA tab, Gonzo, but up against Korück it certainly makes sense. If he can shut down the airplay, he can advance onto the Schupo, and that's going to give a large amount of ground to Gonzo in the early game. So far, Gonzo's doing great. He's managed to take down that Pak-40 as well. That's pretty important. Also finds the Pak-36 here, the strafing run coming in from the HS-129. Will that be enough with the Schupo coming in? I reckon it will be. Although the grenade does get thrown by the sappers. If that... Oh, that was close. I was going to say, if the sappers managed to detonate that before the Schupo pinned them, then the Schupo would have surrendered themselves. But it goes in the favor of Vitch this time around. But the Pak-36 is destroyed. So no AT covering the road as the M4A2 moves up, and that will make it difficult for future infantry squads to come down this road. As you can see, the Sherman is going to start firing straight away. Might find a kill onto a half track or two. HS-129 also being forced away from this bottom side by Bofors. So 2 Bofors on the field plus the GMC Bofors. Really, really nice air cover now from Gonzo. However, there are still units that are quite exposed to air attacks, and we can see the ME410 here coming in again with another bombing strike onto the sapeurs. The sapeurs are actually getting relatively low on ammo, but that bombing strike is going to clean them up nicely, and we see a Pak 40 arriving on the top side. That's going to take out the M4105, and now the M4A2 Sherman is in trouble. Pak 40 is going to fire away, gets the crew kill, and that's going to leave the Sherman mighty vulnerable to a second shot before Gonzo even has the chance to fix it up. So that is a huge loss there for Gonzo's topside push. He was in such a good position with just this one Shupo standing in his way, but the reinforcement of Vitch, the Pak 40 specifically, really shutting down any chances Gonzo has there of pushing for the time being. So now Gonzo's attention's come into the bottom side with an M8 arriving, make that 2 M8s, and the voltages here. They're going to attempt to push into these tree lines. Some nice micro from this Flammenwerfer might cause those voltages to get surrendered by them. But the Panzerbuchs are here. Oh, these Panzerbuchs are so good for dealing with these light armored vehicles. That's going to be a spalling hit. Nice amount of damage done there. Can it find the kill afterward? That's the most important part. Turret stuck is helpful, but not a kill. Looks like the M8 is going to get away with it for the time being. The Flammenwerfer has not been pulled back. The voltages plus the Bofors should be able to take care of that. Well, now the M8 getting involved as well is going to mow it down with the 50 cal. Nice use of the smoke to try and cover off against the voltages, but it wasn't quite in the right position. So the voltages get the better of the Flammenwerfer. T-34 now zooming down this road. It will find the voltages in cover. The M4A2 as well there. The M4A2, it does find the first shot but bounces off the front. T-34 does the same. That is incredibly unlucky for both players. Next shot, oh, nice surrender there as it manages to make them fall back, pin them down. There's an aircraft going down there as well. The AA starting to take great effect with the Commandant here. Moving that up slightly to give the Bofors 2-star veterancy would be really smart. Either way, Panzerbuchs are going to force back the M4A2 for now by providing some nice crits there. Side or rear armor shots from the Panzerbuchs are at that range. I think might just have a little bit of penetration, like enough to make a difference at least. But looks like Vitch is deploying some of his armor. Korück 559 doesn't really have much significant armor other than 4 Tigers at 2-star veterancy. Which, well, they can bring in 1 in phase A, 2 in phase B, or 4 in phase C. I reckon we'll see the Tigers in phase B. They come in at 2-star veterancy. But for now, the Panzer III is being deployed. These are T-70s as well, captured T-70s, all pressing on this top side. Shermans can make short work of this kind of armor, but does need to be careful of them being covered by this Pak 40. Ju-87's coming in on the bottom side now, looking for the shot onto the M4. I think Vitch knows it's vital to break down these Shermans so that his infantry can take on Gonzo's unharassed, because Vitch certainly has an infantry advantage because Gonzo's infantry is quite expensive. Gonzo's infantry all comes in half tracks, and that just makes it cost that little bit extra, whilst Shupo, they're 15 points a pop, and they're decent 10-man squads that have a reasonable amount of firepower, especially at mid-range. And you can see these voltages here suffering massively to multiple Shupo. Exactly what I'm talking about. Now the half tracks, they're going to be pretty hard to kill by Shupo, which is why Vitch is very reliant on these Panzerbuchs squads to accompany his Shupo early on. But ultimately he can get the better of that. It looks like with the Panzer III, I think the Panzer IIIs here kill both of those for the Shupo squads. Do you see a Pak 36 going down there to the flamethrower squads? Gonzo still has quite a nice position in this town, but with his his top side push being broken down, it does leave this town very vulnerable to being cut off, and therefore neutralizing any effect those are having. And from then on, Vitch can either just avoid that or just slowly clean it up. Either way, Gonzo has chosen to go for Nueve. And these Nueve are pretty good squads. They come in at 2-star veterancy. They can be very, very strong. They do have MG34s as well as multiple rifles. Like the M1 Garands are decent, but they're just simply outnumbered here. So these Nueve 25 points a pot. They come in a 5-point half tracks at 30 points. But ultimately, Vitch can have 2 10-man squads to match the Nueve's 1. And that makes a hell of a difference. So you can see that taking effect here. Ronafior are going to smoke themselves off so they don't get shot by these units. Panzerbuchs in the meantime going to bail out the M8. Really nice shot there. Does have to be careful of the Sherman. The Sherman it can't really penetrate, but it's looking to potentially kill the half-track. Schuppel might be able to make a move on that if they can get in range with the grenades. As I mentioned before, this town has now been cut off. All of the flamethrower squads are behind enemy lines now, including these voltages, and Vitch is just going to forget about those troops and move on. It is still 12-12 though, a very, very close game. Nueve are going to be moving into the buildings here, taking on the Schuppel at close range, but more Schuppel are going to be coming. Korück has no shortage of infantry. Aegis 129 going to be coming in with a strafing run onto the Nueve as well to reduce their effectiveness by pinning them slightly. Actually goes for the kill onto the half-track so that the Schuppel are unaffected by that. Aegis 129 does take a lot of damage from the AA though, not quite going to be enough. Still only 1 Bofors on the bottom side, so not a big deal for that HS 129. Should survive the initial hits. Schuppel taking on voltages at this flag. If they get broken down, especially with the help of this strafing run, then the flags are going to go in the favour of Vitch. And we do see these Nueve slowly being broken down. T-34 has been brought into support. Gonzo has got his 50 cal at range though. Now placing this 50 cal back here is really, really smart because it definitely provides a lot of suppression onto these infantry squads without being able to be affected in any way itself. With the 1,500 meter range, these 50 cals can be extremely effective if placed correctly. And considering this is quite a forested map, Gonzo's done well to find a clean line of sight. This Ju-87 does eventually find the kill onto the Sherman. Bofors are going to be forcing that back afterward, but the job is already done. As long as Vitch can keep picking off individual targets with these Ju-87s, they will pay themselves off eventually, and then he can capitalize on that basically. ME-410 going to be coming in with a bombing strike onto the half-track. We did of course see the Ju-87 get shot down there by the Bofors, which is a pretty important kill. It looks like the Schuppel here, they have recovered. They're going to be getting back into the building. As soon as they do, though, they're going to start coming under fire from the half-tracks again. So it's really up to the T-34 here to clean up these half-tracks and potentially the M3. Now, the T-34 should be able to clean up an M3 at range quite nicely, but of course is vulnerable at close range. One thing we need to pay attention to, though, is the Tiger E is on the field. We are into Phase B. And this Bofors has revealed itself. It's only got 2 health. The Panzer 3, should be able to clean it up nicely. They certainly do. M3A3 and the M4A2 going to be engaging these lighter vehicles, but with a Tiger behind it. Well, Gonzo's going to have to be careful if the Tiger moves forwards. Saying that, we do see a close range AT gun attempt there. Oh, that was almost a very nice ambush onto the Tiger, but doesn't quite make it happen. Tiger with the 2 machine guns plus HE makes short work of that with its veterancy. And the 3 now pushing aggressively over this bridge, looking to find whatever else is left. Will likely bump into Gonzo's Commandant, and finding that will be vital because it will take away likely any chance of Gonzo having a commander on the field for the rest of the game, which is massive. Usually, especially in aggressive vanguard divisions, you're unlikely to see more than 1 commander, so killing that would be really, really good. But we got LVF chasseurs on the way now. These are actually pretty damn decent close range squads with their 9 MP40s and then an MG42. They can also engage at range, but not going to be as effective as these voltagers because these ones have 2 30 cals each, so can definitely do well in this longer range engagement. Tiger E is getting overwhelmed at the moment. We do see the M4A376 coming in, and that has a lot of penetration at this sort of range, and it's making the Tiger E panic and is forced to fall back. Loader wounded as well. Look how many units here that Gonzo has behind the enemy lines. Unfortunately, these flamers are kind of useless because there's no time in which Vitch really needs to send units through that town to get to the front line. He'll almost always use this topside road, or he'll be pulling off down past this Pack 36 where these T-34s are. This T-34 currently engaging the Nueva there. I think one died previously, or something died previously, to this 57mm AT gun. But we are seeing engagements on the bottom side still. Nueva still in position in this town. But it looks like the T-34s have dealt with the M3A3 down here, as well as the two half-tracks. Sherman now going to be trying to engage those T-34s, but we do see that Vitch has brought up these Valentines. And Valentines at close range can be really, really nasty. They have a fantastic rate of fire, 15 round per minute rate of fire. And so if they are allowed to get close, and they can do a lot of damage. And getting onto this ridge actually would be really nice for a Valentine, as it will be able to cover this reinforcing road where the Bofors is. Either way, with the Bofors shut down on the top side, also the GMC Bofors is dead. We see Korück 559's aircraft are enabled once again, and the Me-410 coming in there for a lovely bombing strike onto all of these infantry squads. Will pin down 2 of them. HS-129 also came in with the strafing run onto the M4A376, but the Tiger's still good. Transmission damage kind of annoying for Vitch because it does slow down the tank quite severely and makes them quite annoying to micro. But here we see the Valentines now moving down to find closer engagements, which is fair enough. And the SBW-204 moving down, going to be looking for machine gun cover onto the Nueva. These SBW-204s, they don't have any HE on their main gun, but they can of course be a nuisance to infantry that don't have any form of AT. Losing that unit there did cause a little bit of a salient, but not going to cause any captured flags for Gonzo. Vitch currently standing 13-11 overall. And so far I think it's shown that the infantry engagements do fall in favour of Vitch in the long run, just because he gets a lot more value for money out of his infantry than Gonzo does. These LVS chasseurs, look how much damage they do to the sappers at close range. Now, the sappers of course do have their grenade, and that will allow them to probably win that engagement, but a nice amount of damage done to that squad will allow units like the LVF Grenadiers and the Schupo to clean them up. And the Tiger has gone down here, so have both of these SPW ADGZs. There is a second Tiger on the way, but that has the potential to be flanked by the M4A2 that's moving up. Now the HS-129B2 tried to strafe the M4A2 but lost line of sight. P-38 looking for the hit onto the Ju-87 now. That might be just a little bit too late. Let's see if the Ju-87 can hit the mark. It's going to be mighty important that it does. It does find one. Can it find 2? It does. Both of them go down, and that's going to leave a huge mark in Gonzo's line. Unlikely to find any more kills as it's forced to fall back. Does actually end up going down, but certainly paid itself off in my opinion. SPW-204 here trying to engage a Sherman. Not the best engagement at all, but not really going to affect too much. One thing we do need to pay attention to is this M4A2 being strafed on the top side. If Vitch can continue to strafe that, then he will be able to avoid his Tiger being flanked. It looks like the Ju-87 is just going to finish it off, while the HS-129 went for the strafing run onto the AT gun. So Tiger's just going to try and get into position, I would assume. If it can get into this light cover, it can provide fantastic support onto this road, but the Ju-87 doing the work there is going to take out the Command M4 on the bridge. Lovely stuff. Lovely use of aircraft from Vitch, and that's to be expected with Korück 559. It's one of their strong points, especially in a Vanguard deployment type. It's something that I've seen in sometimes in 4v4 matches, because it can really catch the enemy off guard. And while Vitch has done a fantastic job so far of utilizing them, Gonzo's forced to bring in another GMC Bofors on this top side. May find another kill here onto the HS-129. That's going to go down. So Gonzo just trying to keep on top of this aircraft, but it's already done so much damage ultimately, income's not going to save Gonzo at this point, so he really does have to find value for money, and that's going to have to come from his AA right now. He may have a limited amount though, so he's got to be careful not to lose this Bofors. And it's going to be the ME410 finally going down as well. Oh no, it crashes into the AT gun. That is incredible. Not often you see something like that happen. A vital unit taken out. That would have been so important for ambushing and pushing through onto this Tiger. Damn, that is incredible. Either way, M4A3 still going to be scary at close range for this Tiger. M4A2 also on the way, but damn, Gonzo's got to be feeling unlucky after that. Voltage's trying to move into the town here, clean up some of the Schupo, pushing onto the flag at the crossroads. Further on the bottom side, we do see the Valentines taking on the Schupo, or no, taking on the Nueve, and the 57mm AT gun there being found by a flanking maneuver from the Schupo. Oh, that's got to be nasty. Oh, I'm feeling the pain of Gonzo right now as these plays come through. Vitch making a great ground here. We'll be able to eventually take out this M8. And it looks like Gonzo's just trying to get more infantry in here right now to stop the Schupo in their tracks. He does have the potential to clean that up for sure, but has certainly taken a few bad hits. T-34 does go down. Looks like the M4 took care of that and now is pushing onto the turret-stuck SPW-204. Vitch realizes that this is happening, going to reinforce with more Schupo, although it looks like the Schupo were intended to push with the Valentines. Oh, that's another unit of infantry caught out in the open there by the Schupo, and they take care of it nicely. M8 is going to be found by the Schupo, forced away, pushed into line of sight of the Valentine. Valentine will find the kill. Job done. Will give this flag to Vitch. Vitch now pushes down onto the voltages, and they are outnumbered 3-1. ME109 looking for the strafing run, but wants to avoid the Bofors. Nice pull away there with the aircraft. Now we see the M4A3 here. It is loader wounded. Got to be a little bit careful trying to engage this Tiger. Currently line of sight is blocked by these trees. Pack 36s are moving up. They can provide crits and make it easier for the Tiger to pull off those kills. Meanwhile, on this bottom side, Sherman's going to get the better of these Schupo squads. Quite a vulnerable Sherman though. If there is a Ju-87 available still, then Vitch could go for the kill because the Bofors would be well out of range. But I'm not sure that Vitch even has any Ju-87s left at this point. We have seen 2 of them go down, I believe. And if he brought them in Phase A, then that's probably all he has. We'll see. Either way, Tiger's going to take a shot at the M4A2. Does actually miss. Pack 36 here. Can it find the kill onto the M4A3? Now these do have the 1,000 meter range heat shells that they can use. And that's something I would expect Vitch to make good use of. He turns off the AP shells at range. You could find a lovely kill there with the strong penetration those provide. Either way, we do see that the Valentine here gets the better of the Bofors further back. So that's the Bofors actually dealt with. Gonzo now trying to move an AT gun into position to ambush these Valentines in future. And it's not often you actually see the French struggling with armor, especially light armor. Like the Korück 559 can bring, but these Valentines have done a lot of work so far. Ju-87 has flown in, does take care of the M4, and now with the Bofors out of action on this bottom side, that Ju-87 is actually going to head up to the top side to look for the kill onto the M4A3. These Pack 36s still not being used with their heat shells, which is surprising. One of them's already dead. Looks like the second one might go down as well. There's limited penetration for that Pack 36. This Ju-87 going to turn round instead. Does not want to take on the GMC Bofors on the top side. Instead going to take a free kill on the bottom side. M4 Sherman going down. Oh, these Ju-87s. They are certainly doing work. And we also see the AT gun now going down to the Ronnerführer. The M5 half-track there might clean up all of this infantry. That would be very nice. The 30 cal doing a decent job there, potentially. Also, the M4A3 finding a quick snapshot as well there. One of the Valentines has gone down, did get bailed out, and Vitch's push is slowly but surely getting cut down because the Shupo that he had intended to reinforce with got stopped by the Sherman on the bottom side previously. These Shupo now on their way, they're going to be coming down this road, as I mentioned before, never going to really go past these infantry. Although I say that, it looks like these Shupo have had their orders changed now, and these flamethrowers might actually come into play. Naturally, these Shupo would just go down this road, but he's changed his mind and he's going to prove me wrong. Gonzo's going to get some potentially free kills here, especially with the Shupo landing in the middle of two flamers. Although saying that, one of them's already gone down. Maybe if this Shupo can get out of range, the other Shupo behind can help finish the job. Oh, Gonzo's going to throw down the smoke. This flamethrower is trying to move in behind, but does get spotted and picked off. Gonzo trying to make a little play with his flamers there, but ultimately they're just going to get killed. So these 4 units of Shupo now looking for this flag where the M5 half-track sits. See, Gonzo's moved his half-track to this area to make sure that his half-track provides the frontline pressure over the flag. And he can also see if anything is coming towards it then. So really smart move by Gonzo. Just going to get that as far forward as he can near the flag so that he can dictate the line of sight. But we now see the 57mm engaging the Tiger. Also, the M4A3 coming in at close range. That's going to be the one you want to look for. Does find the loader wound. The M4A2 doesn't really have much penetration chance at the Tiger at this range, but the M4A376 certainly does, and will potentially kill that as it falls back, but can't stay on target for long enough. M4A3 does kill off a unit of Shupo before they unload, which is quite nice. Now Gonzo just going to try and pin these down with the use of the machine guns, the 50 cal from the M4A3 as well as the 30 cal from the half-track, but mustn't get too close because otherwise the half-track will find itself grenaded. But he's really hoping to pin those down and surrender it with the half-track. That's the play he's going for here. Can the 50 cal do enough of a job before the aircraft save the day? It looks like Gonzo is going to be able to push those back for now. Nice job indeed. Nice cost-efficient trade for sure for Gonzo. Smart. Very smart indeed. Flak 36, probably all that Vitch is going to need to stop P-38s from doing their job. P-38s are probably one of the weakest aircraft in the game. They can get shot down very easily by AA. This AA, though, has actually got caught out in the open quite badly. Will get killed off by the M4A3 and the M4A2s. HS129 does actually go down. Nice crit there from the GMC Bofors. Tiger currently still falling back with the loader wound. That is a nasty, nasty crit. There goes the AA on the top side. On the bottom side, we do see a nice captured tank here. This is a Polish tank. But that's going to be trying to do some HE damage to these sappers as they push up. Sappers do have a bazooka though, so 200-meter range. Can they find the kill? Nope, they're going to miss. Probably going to get pinned down now, and that's the end of that engagement. So Pack 36 is now pushing up with the Shupo and the LVF Grenadiers. Grenadiers going to try and get the better of the voltages. Both sides really, really holding on for now, but it looks like Gonzo may have got the better of Vitch's armor, and that gives opportunities for Gonzo for sure. If he can make sure this Tiger dies and stays dead, then he can start to really work around that. But so far the Tiger is holding things off. Pack 40 also brought in is going to cause issues. Can that do enough damage? Oh, there we go. The M4A376 goes down. A large infantry engagement here. All the Shupo taking up the heavy cover already. The voltages are going to get surrendered. One of the Shupo gets surrendered in its place. Sappers looking for the grenade, most likely onto the Shupo, but not being in cover while the Shupo are, makes the Shupo very, very efficient in this scenario. So the Sappers might just find themselves pinned before they even throw their grenade, and that's exactly what's going to happen. The M4A2 here trying to find cover for the time being, and also the Sappers getting finished off there by a shot from the Tiger. Meanwhile, down here we do see the Shupo coming in. Another unit of Shupo dying before unloading, but that's not too bad. Oh, look at this. Lovely kill there from the Pak 36. Finds the rocket hit onto the Sherman. These can be super deadly. That's what I wanted to see on the top side earlier. But it looks like Vitch forgot to turn off his AP shells. But that's what we wanted to see. So we get an example of that on the bottom side. These Shupo definitely going to struggle against Nueva in cover if they are not themselves. And the 7TP, as much as it has armor, doesn't have much firepower. So that's something that Vitch can't really rely on. I think Vitch needs to maybe bring in a bomber or something there just to pin those infantry squads to allow the LVF grenadiers and so on to push up. There is also, of course, the chance to use the artillery. He has got some artillery on the field now. The F-22 there. Actually, is that? Yeah, it is an F-22. It's captured F-22. And he also has the 122 mil on the top side now to provide some artillery support. Further on the bottom side, we do see the Nebelwerfer. So that could also play a part in pinning down these infantry. But ultimately, when your enemy's in cover and you are not, you're going to want something to pin them down. And that's what he's trying to do right now. Now, Vitch did manage to clean up a lot of this armor here. He has managed to kill the Sherman and also the 76 Sherman. Both of those burning wrecks to this Tiger. Tiger currently holding this road very nicely. Look at that. Beautiful view. As all of these wrecks burn. Quite the engagement has occurred here, that's for sure. So, still all to play for really on the top side. Tiger's alive. There's one more M4A3 76 there. Second one coming up. Gonzo could still make some serious plays up there. On the bottom side, however, we do see that these infantry have been finally dislodged. And Vitch is going to try and make ground here. If he can take control of this town, then he can potentially put pressure onto this flag again from the ridge, which will give him an advantage. We're currently back to 12 to 12. 34 minutes. We're well into phase C. So, more Shupo coming in on the top side. Korück 559, always going to have more Shupo. We're going to see more of those coming in. But one thing we're going to have to keep an eye on is Gonzo's availability. He's currently coming in with another M4A376, but with a Vanguard deck, I think we're going to see a real lack of infantry on the side of Gonzo from here on out, compared to Korück 559. And that's something that Gonzo is going to have to try and manage. Maybe bring in some artillery just to help him out, but we haven't actually seen a single artillery piece yet from Gonzo. He's been trying to rely on this P-38 bomber with the 450 kilogram bombs. These can definitely pin down a lot of infantry very quickly, but it just depends whether or not... Oh no. This could be bad news. The bombs are going to land on this LVF Grenadier and pin down potentially the M3A3. Not quite. I'm surprised that they didn't, because those are big old bombs, but the M3A3 is going to survive. It's just going to push now onto the Shupo. Shupo can't do anything against the M3A3, but the 7TP might. That's going to be a turret stuck. That is not something you see very often. The Polish tank pulling through. Can it find the second shot? It can, and the M3A3 is going to go down. M4A3, sorry, going to come up and try and get some machine gun shots down, but doesn't really fancy getting too close. Oh, we are going to see some Shupo dying after being shot from the hill here. The M4A2 does get into position. Looks like one of the M4A3s plus the M4A2 have now decided to take back the hill. Flag's now going in favour of Gonzo as the M4A2 puts influence over this flag. And with these infantry now falling back, they're all runner pioneers, so they don't have any AT. And that's something that Gonzo's taking advantage of, just driving towards them with the 30 cals, with the 50 cals. Big old bombs coming in there from the P-38, but we do see that the Tiger is firing up onto the ridge now. It does have the range to do so. Ju-87 also coming in. That's going to be the M4 going down. That's going to be the M4A376 going down. Two vital kills for Vitch. Nicely done indeed. Ju-87 is flying dangerously close to this GMC Bofors. Will likely get shot down. Does indeed. And, well, I think it was worth it. I really do. This M4A2 also in trouble. This Tiger, he needed to make sure it died, and unfortunately could not quite do so. And now it's been the bane of his life Tiger now going to engage the M4A376. Oh, they trade! The Tiger makes one last shot, one last dent in Gonzo's armor before it goes down. The M4A376 here finding that kill, but just a little bit too late. All of the armor is gone except from the M4A2 command. Damn, what an intense engagement this has been across the entire map. Now we see the 7TP dying finally to the M4A376. 122mm gun is trying to get the shot off here, but is likely to get pinned beforehand, and yeah, that's going to be an easy kill now. These aren't cheap either, 90 points. That's a pretty tough loss for Vitch. I think he intended to use that to take out the armor by maybe having it in light cover when the M4A3 discovered itself, or discovered it. But yeah, now this M4A3 is going to have a nice time trying to clean up the Shupa, but of course without any recon nearby, it's going to have a hard time finding them. They're only in light cover. I mean, this unit was, what, 200 meters in front of it, and the M4A3 can see it. Just shows you how bad the optics on tanks can be sometimes. But Gonzo now coming in with a lot of these leader units just shows, I think he's pretty low on infantry availability. He's now bringing in M10s as well, and in this situation they look pretty last resort. Not quite sure what the intention is with this infantry squad pushing up so aggressively, but we're going to see the M4A3 here engaged by a 20mm. M4A3 is definitely going to want to take that out, but ultimately this M4A3 might have just left itself in an absolutely awful position, because not only is there, well, I was going to say the Ju-87, but we saw they got shut down, but there's still the HS-129B3, I think, isn't there? Either way, the fighters might do enough to pin it down. If not, then maybe the Nebelwerfer will, but the Nebelwerfer was mistargeted, actually hits his own Schupo. If you're zoomed out, sometimes when you give a fire position order, it can clip to your own units, and that's what I think we saw there. M10 now on the way to try and save the day. I feel like Vitch has maybe shot himself in the foot just a little. Pack 36 going to try and take care of the half-track coming down here with the voltages. 2 more Schupo on the way. But with the armor actually dying on the top, it looks like Vitch has taken the opportunity to run forwards with the Pioneers, and with close-range engagements, those Pioneers can be very, very scary indeed. Now the M4A3 is pinned down. Those strafing runs have done the job. One of them goes down for the cause. Well, this one, it's going to come in for another strafing run. I don't think that's a good idea. The Bofors surely going to shoot it down. Do see the shots coming through. Not going to be enough. However, M10 is bailed out. This M4A3 is still pinned. The map is just so... I don't even know how to put it. This is like, there's just action everywhere. It's just very sporadic. Look at it. Anyway, M4A3 should be able to take care of that nicely. It does take out the 204, but needs to get back to friendly lines, honestly. Otherwise, potential for that to be pinned down again and rushed by whatever unit that Vitch has available. We're on a Pioneer. Looks like they were bombed out and forced back briefly. But if the front line's pushed over them again with the Schupo, that's going to give a flag on the hill for sure. This M4A2 currently under fire from the F22, getting forced back away from this flag, pushing the flags in favor of Vitch. We see that F22 on the bottom side now engaging, and well, there we go. That's going to be an F22. I think finding the kill onto the M4A3 with an AP shot. That's not something you see very often, those F22s. Generally used as artillery, not AT. But that is a lovely bombing strike from Gonzo. These guys are really throwing punches. Schupo taken down to 2 and 3 health respectively. There is still this unit of Schupo in the way, but the M10 at close range with the 50 cal and the HE ammo with 2 star veteran C has the potential to just clean that up on its own. More Schupo on the way though from good old Korück 559 here and Vitch. And Gonzo now bringing in mortars, and these are something that I potentially would have liked to have seen sooner from Gonzo. I think he maybe tried to count on his infantry quality a little bit too much, and maybe like the infantry or like the infantry armor support play style. I don't know, because a lot of his armor was being picked off, and it's It's a lot easier for Korück 559 to do that on this map than it is on any other, because it's Tsel. And Tsel has like all of these close range engagements, and that's where he's been losing a lot of this armor. These sort of closed line of sights that AT guns can take advantage of, and ultimately Gonzo's been left in a lot of tough positions because his armor's died and then his infantry gets overrun. But ultimately the M21s, they're now coming into play, and with the remainder of units that Gonzo has left, especially these like artillery command units and maybe some healthy units of voltigeurs, he may be able to make good use of these M21s to make back some ground. So you can see here, a unit's going to get surrendered. We see mortar fire coming in towards the Schupo. May allow this artillery command to find some surrenders. This Schupo is currently firing at the Bofors here. I think Gonzo needs to be very careful not to let this die, because he doesn't want to just allow himself to be strafed to death by enemy fighters. We do see IGs now coming in up here. These don't actually have any AT capability, so unloading them in front of an M10 is not exactly the best idea. But they may be distraction enough for the ADGZ to come up and find a side shot or something. We'll have to wait and see. F22 currently moving up. Schupo on the way. It's going to be a gun-jammed ADGZ. Does manage to get the shooter knock onto the M10 though. Now over time, an IG-290 can in fact kill something like an M10 if it does enough damage with its HE, but it's going to take certainly a lot of shots to make that happen. A large amount of infantry coming to this hill. 6 squads around it. Another squad pushing through towards this town. Vitch's infantry availability certainly coming into work now. ME-109 coming in with a strafing run. It looks like the Bofors did go down. Yep, the GMC Bofors was killed. That was just machine guns from the Schupo as well. So, a nasty loss there for Gonzo. I feel like it's a bit of a miss micro from him. But he's definitely under a lot of pressure. He's now looking for the mortar kills onto the IGs. With the armor availability on this top side though, or on like the top of this ridge, I guess, he can clean those up very quickly. The only limiting factor is these M10s are going to run out of HE ammunition. Oh no, we do see one going down there. What did that even die to? I didn't even see. Don't tell me that was a Flak 36 finding the kill. Like the HE damage doing the job. Do you see the Nebelwerfer 41 firing away once again? Unless it was like an artillery shot that hit it, but damn. Yeah, it might be an artillery. It looks like it was artillery from the top side. 122mm came in and hit the M10. That's nasty. That's not something Gonzo wants to see. And now the strafing run coming in as well. Going to be pinning down these M10s, forcing them back. That's leaving him in a very tough spot. F22 is trying to creep up. That artillery command does get taken out, getting rid of a little bit of a salient. This is mighty close though. It looks like both players just down to the dregs of their divisions. 20mm flak coming in to support on the top side now. More F22s being brought in, and when these players start investing in like all of their artillery at this point in the game when they still could use more units on the front line, well, that just shows you the state of each other's decks. But either way, F22s should still be handy as sort of close range frontline units. They can work as assault guns with the AP capability, can be very scary to something like an M10. So these F22s, potential for a lot of damage. We do see the strafing run coming in from the ME-109, but ultimately Vitch's infantry availability on this hill could eventually lead to like spreading out and then taking a lot of ground. But still 12 to 12, 46 minutes in. I wouldn't really say either player has a huge advantage right now. Vitch certainly has the infantry availability to make more plays, but ultimately I'm not sure that that's what is needed right now. Gonzo, with these mortars now on the field, can slowly but surely pin down and surrender multiple infantry squads, whilst Vitch kind of just needs to make sure his artillery counter batteries and also kind of does the same thing. And we do see the smoke bomber coming in. Interesting. The DB there flying overhead. Not sure what it's quite going for the smoke on. You can in fact use these smoke bombers on enemy artillery to block their line of sight. That's something you can use them for, but maybe he's just using them as scouts and seeing where enemy units are, or enemy AA is more specifically. Because there is a flak 36 up on this hill, so maybe that's what he's trying to get an eye on. Oh, lovely kill there from the 57mm. Does take out the 7 TP. Oh, both players just kind of in a tough position right now. He still has more Schupo from Korück 559, but I think Gonzo, he's not being very aggressive right now. He can't really afford to be. He needs to select an infantry unit, decide like where he wants to go, pin down anything in his way with artillery fire, like here for example, and then move on to them, find a surrender or kill them. Like that's one of the things he can do. Well, pretty much the only thing that Gonzo can do right now, because he has no infantry to reinforce himself, so he can't allow the infantry to make the initial engagement, which is really, really tough. Anyway, Schupo there is actually going to find themselves surrendered. This Schupo, however, trying to get into range to throw grenades. M10s are technically open top, so Schupo can kill an M10 with enough grenades thrown. M21 mortar. These are currently trying to pin down the infantry on the hill, so that potentially this artillery unit can get some surrenders, but those mortar shells, they're going just wide in a lot of cases. And that's really unfortunate for Gonzo, because if he could pin down a lot of these Schupo, make sure that happens, then he could certainly find surrenders. Anyway, more Schupo coming in on this top side is bad news for Gonzo as well. Only one unit of voltages in the way. As soon as Vitch starts to just attack, move forwards, he'll be able to clean up every unit on this top side except from the M10, and that's going to leave a lot of ground for Vitch to take. And now that this unit has also been found, it may open up the front line enough to reconnect these Schupo that are set over a flag. These F-22s, are they going to really be the deciding factor in this game? They're currently trying to shoot across towards these M10s. P-38 going to come in and bomb one of them though. 20mm not going to be enough to stop a P-38 from bombing. Another P-38 coming in further up. We do see that the AA on the hill was killed, most likely due to the smoke bombers kind of revealing their position, but a bomb like that would have been so good just a little while ago when the artillery command was still alive. The M10 can of course still drive through here to try and find surrenders, but ultimately without infantry support that's going to be pretty damn tough. Gonzo now bringing in a couple of these supply vehicles to resupply his mortars, and he's now got 3 M7s on the field. We could potentially use those M7s at close range. That's something that I would maybe consider at this point. If you have a lack of infantry and infantry is all they have, especially things like Schupo, an M7 at close range with its 30 cal, or 50 cal, sorry, plus its like main gun, can do quite a lot of damage as like a support vehicle. Anyway, with these Schupo moving into the town, that has pushed the front line back over that flag, but Gonzo has found himself a flag on the hill briefly. So that went back to 12 to 12. Soon going to be back in favour of Vitch, I would assume, if these Schupo recover. Unless he really can't find a way to deal with the M10, but ultimately these sapeurs will be found by the advance of the LVF Grenadiers and the Schupo, unless maybe the mortars can pin them. Looks like the mortars might. Last shot not quite doing the job there. Sappers can, of course, still kind of save themselves. They do have the 2 HE grenades, which would end up pinning down both of those squads should they come into an engagement. Things are just so close here. But I think the infantry availability from Vitch is just too much for Gonzo to deal with. And the fact that there's so many trees for Vitch to hide in will eventually start playing a large part in this game. Like these Schupo, they can just sit on top of this objective because an M10, if it gets too close, will die. And there's like, yes, maybe Gonzo can mortar that and then find a surrender, but ultimately Vitch is unlikely to let that happen unless he's not paying attention. These 20mm are getting absolutely annihilated by artillery. The DB still flying around. I think quite simply Gonzo's using this to find AA and then mortar targets, maybe M7 targets. Just trying to break down pretty much every unit that Vitch has. But there we go, 13 to 11 in favour of Vitch again, 6 minutes and 55 seconds. until Vitch wins the game if he can maintain a 13-11, but he's not going to. Goes back to 12-12 as these Shupo get forced back and Gonzo takes the flag once again. Also, this flag also now being captured. These M10s, if Gonzo can resupply them enough, maybe they can kill these Shupo squads, but there's still so many left. I mean, we got 2 back here that are just not doing anything right now. There's all the F-22s on the top side that are now counter-battering the M21 mortars. Ultimately, these F-22s are pretty unlikely to kill the M21s unless they get direct hits, but it's still annoying because it stops the M21s from being as effective against infantry. But with no way to really capitalize on the units that are pinned, Gonzo is going to have a hard time like breaking this down. And even more Shupo now coming in, like, which still has more remaining. 2 more F-22s also on the way. Going to provide infantry gun support to the middle of the map. Those Shupo are going to be surrendered, nice job there. That's the sort of engagement that Gonzo needs to keep finding across the map if he wants to bring this back. F-22s still firing away here. Moving these F-22s to the edge here to find side shots into the M10s would actually not even be a bad idea right now. But there's not really much infantry to cover them. This artillery command could actually move up and kill both those Shupo squads right now. Wouldn't really be much of a point in doing that because not going to capture any flags. But ultimately, both players got to do something. That's another Shupo surrendered there, nicely done. This flag taken back, Gonzo's now got the advantage, 13-11. Just gotta hold it. Smoke coming down on top of this M10. These Shupo are moving in, making sure that these get pinned now is so important. If he takes his eye off the ball for just a second, then the Shupo can take advantage of the remaining infantry, leaving Gonzo in a very, very tough position. Gonzo currently focusing his mortars onto the 20mm AA rather than any of the infantry at closer range engagements. And that could prove to be a pretty vital mistake. See a bomber come in onto the top side, P-38, trying to take care of that Shupo. Oh, this could be nasty. It's going to end up hitting his own AT gun. Oh no. That is brutal. Because that AT gun had the potential to hit some of these Shupo coming down the road. Now he's left himself in a very, very tough position. And these voltages now finding themselves surrounded. And with the M10 potentially going to get overrun here. It doesn't have any HE or machine gun ammo left. These Shupo are free to run forwards, completely unaffected by the M10. The only thing the M10 can do is potentially kill the Shupo before they unload, but they've unloaded now. That's going to have 2 flags go in favor of Vitch. That is mighty unfortunate, but let's look at the build-up of infantry on the front line here. Gonzo's just going to have to keep all of his on return fire so that they don't die, because they're the only things holding the front line. 20 mils engaging the Bofors, that's going to go down. Nice strafing run onto the supply truck on the hill. Stops the M10s from being reloaded anymore. And ultimately, if all of the ammo is gone from these supply trucks, well, the M10s will eventually become ineffective against the abundance of infantry from Korück. And, well, that's pretty much going to be all she wrote. But the ME-109s, they're going to allow the DB to get away. Probably run out of fuel. Evac bingo most likely. Regardless, Shupo still pushing up. Not much the infantry can do. And those sappers just out of the range of the HE grenade, I think. Up here, all that Gonzo can do is pin down these Shupo with his artillery and then run towards them with the M10. The M10 can't actually do anything itself right now. Might even be worth moving the M21 towards this top side so that it can use its 50 cal to help pin those down. But things are looking absolutely dire for Gonzo as Vitch has broken down that top side entirely. The M10's pretty much the only thing stood in the way right now. This unit of infantry is going to go down, And will that be the last? No, I mean, there's these units of infantry on the bottom side. Gonzo's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 units of infantry, if you can count an MG team as an infantry squad, on the map. Whilst, I mean, I don't even want to count how many Vitch has. Still pretty more shoop up his slave as well. Look at that, 2 more coming in. That's just cheeky at this point. So ultimately, the F-22s, they could probably just focus fire some of these M10s and find the kills. 4 minutes and 20 seconds until Vitch finds victory, and I think it just came down to, like, availability. That's pretty much it. Like, both players were playing so well. Both players were throwing punches. I feel like Gonzo made more mistakes than I'm used to seeing from him, and that certainly cost him in this game. But ultimately, Vitch has been making fantastic plays, and keeping the Tiger alive on the top side was so important for breaking down the armor on the hill. And whether or not you can call that Gonzo's mistake or Vitch's, like, play, like, ultimately, it was a game changer on this top side of the map. And both players, you know, trying their best for sure. You can see that because it doesn't normally come down to the wire like this, unless both players have just been doing so well, like, or been playing ultimately to the best of their ability, and Vitch just had more to work with at the end of the day. And now we got 1 minute 30 seconds left until Vitch's victory. The wall of Schupo continues. The ME-109s coming in for their strafing runs. And we could also say that air power won the day. Fantastic use from Vitch with his air force. I believe these fighters are the only things he has left at this point. But they've been used to strafe targets. Does end up killing the M10 there as well on the ground. P-38 coming in with the bombing strike. Can he find the kill? P-38s are still pretty fast, so it might actually get away. We shall see. Looking for it. Looks like he is going to get it. There we go, one goes down. Other P-38's coming in. Only 40 seconds left now. Unfortunately, not much left for Gonzo to do. He can have as much ammo as he wants on this artillery, as many aircraft in the sky, but ultimately the Schupo on the ground are the ones capturing the flag. Gonzo's going to surrender, and that is Vitch knocking out Gonzo from the first Steel Division 2 Championship in round 3. What an incredible game. It kind of was a little slow towards the end there, but before that was just incredible. What a game. Like, really, really nice use of the aircraft from Vitch and his Korück 559. Ultimately, after that, it was mainly down to availability. Gonzo, I feel like, lost a lot of armor unnecessarily and relied on it too much throughout this game, especially on the map that is Tsel. Having those mortars available to push your infantry engagements is mighty important, and having a couple of mortar carriers earlier in that game could have made all of the difference. So maybe a bit more sort of combined arms warfare from Gonzo would have been nice. But ultimately, yeah, that Tiger made a massive difference on the top side. It staying alive for just that little bit longer meant that it killed like 3 more tanks, and well, 4 more tanks in the end, as it traded for the last kill. That's just crazy. Anyway, 57mm doing well there. We see the M4A2 also getting quite a few kills. Getting in these Bofors was pretty important, and that did lead to shooting down most of the Ju-87s in the end. So there we go. Nueva did actually perform quite well, surprisingly. I've never really seen much value in the Nueva, but that's certainly telling me otherwise. M4A 376 is always a very nice unit. Does do well, exceptionally well at close range. And this GMC Bofors getting most of the kills here. Look at that. Wow. That's quite the record of kills from a Bofors. Then we see another M4A3 doing well. 76 is always getting plenty of kills. P38 did find a few nice bombing strikes in the end once the AA was taken care of. Another M4A3 doing well. So the armor was certainly paying off, but you can see how the mortars, after they came in, helped secure so many kills in such a short amount of time. And having those in earlier especially against Korück, which would have nothing really to counter a mortar like that at range, would have made a huge difference, I feel. And especially considering Korück is like an infantry-based division that relies a lot on support weapons like the Pak-36s and the IGs. We didn't see the IG-270s come in until later on, but they were certainly in his division, as we saw. But yeah, having the mortars take care of those is pretty important, because ultimately you're only going to need 1 or 2 Shermans to break down the armor of Korück other than the Tigers. If we look at the losses, like a Schupo training for 3 voltages, that is nasty. Very nasty indeed. Of course, like sometimes these don't correctly represent the situation, but ultimately, like JU-87 cleaning up a lot of armor here. Very, very nice indeed. Not quite... Actually, yeah, it did pay itself off. That's 2 M4A2s and 2 Stuarts there. We do see the ME-109 G6s. They did very well, ended up killing 2 of the P-38 fighters, plus 1 of the bombers. We do see the Rona Pioneer doing well there as well. I guess that would have been in the center. Pak-40, the Pak-40 on that main road on the bottom side was nasty, and also the one on the top as well. There was one like just below the hill that got a couple kills near the start, and then one that was brought in just a little bit later on, like mid-game, that was just behind that bridge on the right top right side. Really picked off a lot of stuff down that road, and I think that's a lot of these kills right there. But ultimately, this Tiger, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 M4A2 kills, and the M4 kill there as well. That is very, very nasty indeed. The use of these Valentines was actually pretty nice, but there's another JU-87 with 5 kills, and this Tiger finding the M4A376 kill. And there you have it. Well, after that, it was just the grind to the finish with the use of the F-22s and the abundance of Schupo. But before that, the kills on all of Gonzo's armor was utterly vital. And well, what a crazy long game that was. But we got there in the end, and Vitch, as I mentioned already, has knocked out Gonzo, which is quite a surprise result to a lot of you, I can imagine. Either way, that's it from me. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this epic game. We'll be moving on to the last of the quarterfinals, and then I'll be continuing with the semis after, of course. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.